Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of Mocktail Minutes. This is Bailey.
And this is Brianna.
This week, I am drinking the pink lemonade Ultima electrolytes.
Nice.
They've been my favorite lately.
I'm doing just a Liquid Death, one of their like waters.
Oh, there you go. We are talking about today tips to just kind of like get the needle moving if you were stuck on your weight loss journey and you're like, nothing is working. These are some things you can start checking in with. And if you're like, well, I'm already doing all these things, well, that's when you need kind of next steps. These are just some, I'd say, like beginner points to see, okay, am I doing these? And if not, start chipping away at them and consistently doing them. I think that's a key part too, where a lot of times we try these new habits for like a week or maybe 2 weeks, or maybe it's like a few days and we're like, it didn't work. Well, it might take more like 8 to 12 weeks to really see changes. And I mean, not to say that you won't see any results within 1 week of making changes, but to notice like larger significant results, you're going to have to be more consistent than that.
Yes. And I would say establishing these consistently before moving on to the bigger ones because people often skip that. And
Yeah.
if you can't be consistent with these, you're not going to be consistent with the more advanced things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, one thing I think, and I feel like this is talked about quite often, or it used to be talked about quite often, is liquid calories. Like everyone talks about, like, don't drink your calories, but it's so true. Now, I think like smoothies, that's a different story. Depends on how you're making your smoothie. But I will say, like, personally, I have less people that necessarily drink soda, but more looking at your coffee, especially first thing in the morning. There was one that I looked at the other day, had 32 grams of added sugar. That is more added sugar than we need in an entire day, and we're getting that first thing in the morning before she was eating food even. So, sets you up for inflammation, sets you up for cravings, sets you up for a blood sugar roller coaster. But really paying attention to those liquid calories from the soda, from the coffee drinks, from juice, from alcohol. Alcohol is definitely one as well, because a lot of times we think no carb equals no calories. Alcohol has calories in it of itself. So just because something is no carb doesn't mean it's like a free for all for weight loss. Number one, it does have calories. Number two, alcohol is a poison, you could say, to your body. Your body wants to get rid of it. So it has to start up these detox processes. It slows down your metabolism and it kind of puts everything else on the back burner. So really thinking about what are my drinks, and we we're just like, water is really not that big of a deal to just drink it. A lot of times, like if you're constantly talking about how you hate to drink water, you're probably not going to drink water because you're telling your brain you hate to drink water. So why would you? So if you're really struggling with like getting the water in, set yourself a timer every hour of the day. Make sure you have taken a drink. If you have not, take 5 sips. Water is just getting into the habit. And eventually your body will just start to crave it because, I mean, our bodies are like 70% water. We need water to function.
Yes. Also, caveat on the alcohol, if you're counting your macros and you track your alcohol, you need to add to one of your macros because alcohol's not a macro. Maybe that's an episode for another day. But the next one would be taking out your barriers. So a lot of times it's just like, I can't do this. I don't have childcare. I don't have access to a gym. I don't have this. I don't have time. You have to take out your barriers because none of those things are changing. So for some people, I have them do like a productivity audit to just kind of see where's there areas during the day that I can fit certain things in that I am wanting to do. Like that's the thing, is you want to do these things, so you have to make space for it. And setting yourself up, like putting it on your calendar, telling your partner or your spouse, like, hey, this is what I'm doing, like getting some dumbbells for at home, but figuring out what are my major barriers and how do I add to my day the things I want to do. Because waiting for all of those things to not be a thing is not going to happen.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Taking out those barriers and just really anytime we're making excuses, we are kind of validating ourselves that we're incompetent to do something, and you're just going to keep beating yourself up. And so stepping back and being like, okay, what actually is standing in my way here? Breaking those down, and that's what we help our clients do, is just understand like, okay, what's the actual issue? Is it breakfast is hard, or is it you're staying up too late scrolling on your phone, which is making your mornings run chaotically, which is why you can't focus to put a breakfast together? So
Well,
thinking
yeah.
like, okay, what's actually holding me back at this point? And then, I mean, kind of going along with that, like having a plan, whether it's a meal plan, a morning plan, a night plan, have a plan for your day. There's no shame in having to plan out your day, even if you're off work on a weekend, things like that. You are so much more productive if you know exactly what you're going to be doing. It's like, think about it like weekday versus weekend. We can kind of sit in bed, maybe you scroll a little bit, versus like a weekday, you know you have to be at work at 8, so you're going to get up and go. So have a plan. If you have a meal plan ready, you're also not going to get to the end of the day and having to decide like what's for dinner and then make sure you have the food. It's already decided, you already have the food. Make it easy. Have a plan. Okay, what am I going to do for breakfast? Do I need to get it ready the night before? Do I need to wake up 10 minutes early? Whatever it is, the more you can plan, the more confident you will be to follow through. And you're going to feel, I would say, almost like more efficient, because it's like things are just getting done now. I like having a plan or like a schedule versus just a list, because a list, it's like, oh, we can get these things done. And then the end of the day comes and we're like, we did not get those things done.
Yeah.
So plan out your day, plan out your meals, plan out your workouts, schedule all these things in, make it easier on your brain so you have less decision fatigue.
Yeah. And the plan and the barriers really do go together. For example, it could be like, I'm eating great Monday through Thursday and then not the rest of it because I'm out of groceries. Well, then that would be a
Mhm.
plan too. I have a grocery pickup, or I go do a small grocery shopping on Thursday to continue with my plan that I have. So they definitely go together. It's not just going to all magically happen. And like Bailey said, it's like really beating you down when you consistently have these things that you want to do and they're not getting done. You're just solidifying, I can't do these things. I can't do these things. The next one, and this is definitely a foundational one. All of these are, but reducing the amount of fast food that you have, or the amount of times that you eat outside of the house. The reality is it's very hard to track. It's very hard to know exactly what you're eating. There's always going to be more calories. There's always going to be more fat, more sugar, more salt in all those foods. The portions are going to be off. So, and this is a good example. Like someone was talking about there, this was a reel, the Chipotle bowl, you do the Chipotle calculator and you're like, oh, cool, that's what it is. That's if the people at Chipotle are measuring their scoops correctly. And I'm going to tell you, 16-year-old like Rebecca is not. She does not. They're just like, meh. So the calories that you think are in your bowl, it's likely more. But it's just those little things that add up. So you're finding a lot of sneaky things that are making their way in. Also, that means you're still out of the habit of having a plan and eating at home and making your own meals. And that is something that you have to get down. That has to become something that you just do, because the convenience is what is keeping a lot of people stuck.
Mhm. And then, so it's like taking, how do I make my own life more convenient without having to rely on fast food or anything like that? Even if it's not fast food, like you could go to the best restaurant. I say this all the time, like fat is consistently on the higher end when you're eating away from home, because they're going to cook with fat. They're going to add fat fast. Fat tastes good and they want you to come back.
Yeah.
So even if you're getting like Chick-fil-A, like everyone feels like, because it's Chick-fil-A, it's kind of like, it doesn't matter. I'll get a chicken sandwich, grilled, salad, or like a fruit cup, which not a bad option necessarily. But if you're getting that consistently, like it does add up in fat. The other thing is, when you're eating out fast food or restaurant, you're usually not getting a lot of fiber there.
That's a major one.
Even, I mean, Chipotle, I would say Chipotle is one of your better options.
It
But
is.
like even Chick-fil-A, you get a fruit cup, like you're maybe getting 3 grams of fiber, but that's it. Like you should really be getting 7 to 9 grams of fiber at least per meal. So it's really hard to meet your fiber goals, which kind of brings me to my next tip is start your meal with veggies when you can. Now, I always say this, and some people stress out. They're like, well, what if I do like a one pot meal or like a stir fry? We do lots of one pot meals. If there are bigger chunks in there, I just eat like the bigger chunks first or like some of the protein first. And then I just eat it all together. So do it where it makes sense, how it makes sense for you. But starting with your veggies creates a little bit of a buffer. And so you have a slower blood sugar response and kind of slows everything down. Make sure you get your fiber in because most of us are low on fiber. And then having that fiber is going to keep you fuller for longer. Fiber is, I would say, one of the biggest game changers for a lot of people. So many people come and they're like, I have IBS. We add fiber and weird things are totally fine now.
Yeah.
And so it helps a lot of people like have regular bowel movements, have less bloating, have better blood sugar control, which then leads to weight loss. So starting your meal with vegetables can be very beneficial.
Yeah. And underrated. The next thing is going to be sleep. And I know we talk about this a lot, but sleep is one of the things that you can't overlook. And I feel like most people do. So, a lack of sleep, again, you're going to be more insulin resistant. You are going to have more of those hunger hormones. You're going to feel hungrier. You're going to be tired. You're going to want to eat more. You're going to want to move less. You're going to want to just not do the things. You're not going to be able to function. Focusing on sleep also because you get the most out of your workouts if you are working out. So, I say 6.5 is like the minimum, 6 maybe, but really 7+ hours of sleep. Trying to, like, you will notice a major difference. And so sometimes that means, do I need to get, again, reducing barriers, having a plan? Do I need to get a nighttime routine going so that I'm settling down by a certain time? I'm doing my face routine or whatever it is, or getting the kids in bed at a certain time so that I can start relaxing and going to sleep at a good time. Hopefully they're around the same time every single night.
Yes, and it's really helpful for kids too. We have Gannon like sleep trained, so he goes to bed at 7 o'clock every night, sometimes 7:30 if we're feeling wild. But having a good routine for sleep will make a huge difference, even for your kids, but definitely for yourself, so you can get that good repair, your hormones regenerate. The deep sleep is what's going to make the biggest difference, and you get that in the first half. So that's where like reducing screen time can be really helpful, so you can get that good deep sleep right there.
Yep.
The next thing I would say, strength training. We talk about this all the time,
Yes.
but I definitely know there's still a lot of information on cardio. Not that you don't need to be doing cardio, but you also don't need to be doing like 3 HIIT training sessions a week and running 3 miles throughout the week. I I would say in my order of priority, I think steps throughout the day, getting 8,000. Second priority, strength training 2 to 3 times a week. Third priority, I would say then you could add in some HIIT training or like a workout you enjoy. If you are struggling to get in your HIIT workouts and your strength training, take out the HIIT workouts. Strength training with a good progressive overload program, that is how you change body composition. That is how you have muscle and burn fat.
And again, remove barriers, create a plan. If you need to start with one a week, I'd rather you do one a week than a perfect 4 a week. That is one thing people struggle with the most, besides increasing their nutrition to be better, is establishing a workout routine. Like, you cannot just not strength train. I can't emphasize that enough. Next one might be debatable for some people, but I say track for like 5 days and try to include at least one weekend day, because we do this thing where we are doing vastly different things on the weekend than we do weekdays for a lot of reasons. Mostly our routine is just completely different. But are you actually eating the amount that you think you're eating? Are you actually hitting protein? Are you actually eating fiber? I'm gonna tell you you're not. Just so you know, you're not. Fiber is one you have to be very intentional about, or you're not going to meet it. So,
And we also don't want to get fiber from just like bars all the time
yes,
or
exactly.
supplements, like whole food fiber sources.
Yeah, which you're not going to know unless you track and see, okay, what am I actually getting? Am I actually eating what I think I am? Am I actually eating enough carbs? What is my fat like? Is my fat really all over the place? Like some days I'm doing 40 and some days I'm at 120. Like just kind of seeing what are my habits? Am I actually eating enough? Is there days I'm overeating? That way you have a better understanding of, do I continue doing what I'm doing, or is there a few tweaks I need to make going forward?
The next thing I would say is having a step goal. Now, I would say 8,000. 8 to 10,000 is good for most people. And steps matter more than what people think. Most weight loss isn't necessarily just driven by the workouts, but it's by that daily movement, that neat, non exercise activity thermogenesis, and that includes walking. So, two people could have the same workout routine. Maybe they go and do this class or meet their personal trainer. They burn all these calories per day based on how much they move. The difference in your daily movement could be like 10 to 30 pounds a year. And you are actually considered sedentary under, I think it's under like 5,000 steps.
Yeah, that's like the new thing.
Yes. You were considered like moderately active, 6 to 7,000. When you're kind of in more of that like ideal fat loss range for movement throughout the day, 8 to 10,000 steps. Over 12,000 is what I would consider very active.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we're like, oh yeah, I'm pretty active, but our steps are only like 5, 6,000. Yeah, you're actually kind of more sedentary, even if you're working out 4 times a week.
Mhm. And that's where a lot of people, I think, struggle with being like, oh, I've dialed in my nutrition and I'm on such a good workout plan. And I am going, I'm doing it, but nothing's happening. It's what you're doing for the other hours of that day, moving your body and increasing the amount of calories that you burn from just your everyday life. Really underrated.
If you have like a sedentary job, if you work from home especially,
Hmm.
you have to be more intentional. If I do not intentionally get up and move or go on a walk, I make sure I get at least a 10-minute walk in daily. If I do not do those things, because there's been days where I haven't, my steps are like 2,000.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And not a lot of it is during my work hours as I'm sitting at a computer during sessions.
Hmm.
So have that plan, be intentional, get a step goal going.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where, because we feel busy, we feel like we moved a lot, right? It's like you've done a
Mhm.
lot, but you've done it sedentary. So
Yeah.
what I think brings us to the last one is having that tangible data. Like you don't know what you don't know. Sometimes I have people that are like, "Oh, I'm moving great," and then I have them wear their watch or their ring or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I'm not doing what I thought I was." Having tangible data so that you don't feel like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. I feel like that's what we do. So tangible data. Am I eating 4,000 calories a day on the weekend and 1,200 on a Thursday? Am I actually getting 10,000 steps or am I getting 2,500? You know,
How much
tangible
water am
data.
I drinking?
Yes. How much water am I drinking? Do I actually know how many hours of sleep I'm getting? That tangible data that you can track to help move the needle.
Mhm.
We have a
Yeah.
hard time with consistency because we're so used to instant gratification. I will have people who do stuff for 2 weeks and they're like, the scale
Didn't
didn't,
work.
the scale didn't move. I'm not losing any weight. What am I doing wrong? I'm like, well, you're not doing anything wrong. You just have to do the things that you're doing a little bit
Keep
longer.
going.
Yeah, keep going. You're not doing, we do that. Like, oh, I must be doing something wrong. Scratch it, new plan. And then we're just
Mhm.
starting and stopping all these random things.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing too, like with the step goal, like sometimes we'll be like, oh yeah, I went to the zoo this weekend. But like I'll go to the zoo and like even that, like my steps are like maybe 5,000, 6,000 from just the zoo. You still gotta get a little bit more steps in throughout the day. But if that was like one day out of the month that you went and intentionally did like a lot of walking at the zoo, you have to be more consistent than that.
Yeah.
It's great that you did it, but we need to be consistent about that movement, consistent with all of these habits. Not that you have to be perfect every day, but you want to be doing these things more often than not.
Start where you're at. If you're not at 8 hours of sleep, you're at four, increase a little. If you're at 2,000 steps, increase a little. Strength train, maybe start it. Start where you're at and work up. A lot of times we just want this like big shiny thing that we're like, if we just do this, I'm gonna lose like
Just
20
go all in.
pounds in 4 months. And yeah, it's not gonna be sustainable. You're not gonna keep it, and that's not the goal.
And I always tell people that, and it's not to be like, "You suck, you can't follow through with anything."
Yeah.
It's literally because that's how our brains work. We need
Yeah.
small incremental changes.
Yeah. That's literally how we're created. And we have this mindset of like, I can do the hard things for a short time because we're like competitive, but you shouldn't be competitive with your habits.
Mhm.
That's not the
Yes,
goal. So,
absolutely. We hope these were good little check-ins for you guys. Like I said, take these tips, see how you're doing, do them consistently for a few weeks, check in with yourself, see what else you can add in before you take the next steps. But if you do these things consistently for 12 weeks, you will see some sort of change.
yep, you will.
All right, everyone, have a good rest of your week, and we will be back next week with a brand new episode.
Bye.
Bye.